Hello and welcome to What I Read, the series of short reviews where I talk about the books that I read this week, and we are talking about Absolute Evil, this one-shot brought to you by writer Al Ewing, penciled by Giuseppe Camuncoli, inked by Stefano Nessi, colored by Romulo Fajardo Jr., and lettered by Tom Napolitano. And Absolute Evil is an absolute banger of a comic. The art is fantastic. It's got this really good grit to it that just makes it fit the tone perfectly. There's no trippy visuals here, which I particularly love, but it works because this isn't, a psychedelic book. This is corporate. Now, going into this, I had heard that we were being introduced to Absolute Green Arrow, and reading the first couple pages, I assumed he was going to be investigating the group, and that this was going to be kind of how that's, where we get into Absolute Green Arrow, which is coming out in a couple of months, apparently. And we do see that he's going after this guy, Jubal Slade, who has a lot of parallels to Jeffrey Epstein. He's wealthy, he has an island, kids go over there. But then Hector Hammond is talking to Jubal and says, look, I'll handle it. Don't worry about him. He's fine. He just grew a conscience about his billions. We'll deal with it. And then we find out just how out of his league Hector Hammond is, as Veronica Cale goes through the history of heroism in this universe, starting with Wesley Dobb, the Sandman, who invented a harmless sleep gas and used it for heroism, and then was brutally murdered by the government, who took his notes and used them for war. Basically, it's the alternate ending to the recent Wesley Dodd Sandman book. Wildcat was going after bigger and bigger criminals in the 40s, and then he goes after this businessman whose factory is dangerous, and he gets offered a big fat bribe. But now there's all these heroes who are emerging now, and the powers that be of the Absolute Universe are finding that the way to handle them has not worked. Superman is unstoppable, Batman is unbribable, and even military personnel will listen to Wonder Woman over their own orders. And it is very clear from watching these characters interact, the league that has formed here, that they are fascist and they think they are morally right. And it is absolutely terrifying. A